What's going on, everybody? This is a roaming prepper. Thank you for joining me today. So I got a question for you guys. How does 2.5 tons of uranium walk away? So you're probably asking, what 2.5 tons of uranium, and did it walk away? Yes, it did. I'll be right back and explain what I heard happen and how we should think about it. I'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Roaming Prepper, and thank you for joining me again today. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I normally try to jump into the premieres when I do this kind of video, but in the event I don't get to do that for whatever reason, feel free to put your comments and questions below. You can also email me, theroamingprepper@gmail.com. So, to my question, how does 2.5 tons of uranium run off? Well, actually, they don't know. So Popular Mechanics, I was reading my news this morning, looking at the new technology market, right? The market's all over the place, trying to understand what I can do for my company and for myself to prepare myself both professionally and personally for what's going on. Popular Mechanics, a good technical magazine or technical publication. And, I'm reading articles about new airplanes and new technology, and boop, there's an article going, oh, Libya, by the way, can't account for 2.5 tons of uranium ore. 2.5 tons of uranium ore has gone away. It just got legs and it walked away. So what is that? How did that happen? Well, okay, so first and foremost, I want to clarify, they said uranium ore, not uranium. So very often when we talk about uranium, and there's a common misunderstanding, like in a nuclear reactor or a weapon, this would be classified classes of uranium, such as uranium-238, which has been refined. It requires very expensive, very heavy, very large equipment that only a handful of companies around the world can make, manufacture, and properly design. So if it shows up at one of these refining stations, somebody may know. Now, what about uranium ore? So basically, it's the naturally occurring material. It is essentially rock or dust-like material, but it has other things in it. It's impure. Think of mining iron or mining gold, right? You have to dig in the mine and you have to extract and then very often crush and refine and melt to get the gold out or to get the iron out. You want to get the other stuff away. So, as I was saying, we have 10 barrels, or I think there was 2 tons, 2.5 tons of uranium ore that's gone missing. So, can you make a nuclear device out of this? You can, but you need to refine it. And let me explain something. So, let's take the Fat Boy bomb from Japan that was dropped on Japan. Right, it had a uranium core in the middle, and then it had a core in the middle, and then it had explosives in a perfect sphere around the core. The core, basically, uranium, plutonium, this stuff will not reach what's called a critical mass, which means the molecules are so tightly packed together that they're causing their own chain reaction. Unless it gets compressed. It has to be compressed in a certain way to create that reaction. Otherwise, it'll be radioactive, but it won't go thermonuclear. The way they did the Fat Bomb, they had a perfectly designed explosive sphere around this radioactive center. When the sphere exploded simultaneously, it crushed that orb perfectly in order to create a thermonuclear blast. Otherwise, it would have become a dirty bomb and contaminated Nagasaki and Hiroshima. It would not have created an atomic blast. Same thing with this. These ores, unless they're refined, you cannot crush them because there are impurities in there, whatever other minerals are in that area, that really is just radioactive rock. You get what I'm saying? So it's not suitable for this kind of purpose to be used in any kind of military or strategic application. Now, where it could be utilized, unfortunately, is either A, it gets misplaced, which means somebody moved the barrels not really understanding what was in them, and now they will be exposing animals and or people to uranium's radiation. and could cause death, cancer, and illness. Option 2 is that it is strapped to an improvised device. You bring it to somewhere public and you detonate it. Now, if that's the case, you detonate it. Basically, it's an IED, right? So the blast radius will be whatever the blast radius of the IED is. However, this will then spread radioactive material. It will go into subways. It'll basically make an extensive mess. Can it be cleaned up? Yes. Can it be contained? Yes. It's not a thermonuclear device. It is a dirty device. However, in that context, the purpose of something like that isn't really to kill a pile of people. You make a bunch sick. It's to scare the bejesus out of another country, or to scare the bejesus out of the market or out of whoever. That's ultimately the goal of terrorist acts, is a geopolitical goal, not necessarily a head count. The head count is simply a tool with which to create the fear or the panic or the respect that is desired by the organization. And that worries me way more than, somebody actually, out in the middle of nowhere figuring out how to make a nuclear device out of 2.5 tons of radioactive rock with other shit mixed into it. That's going to be much more difficult. So should we be worrying that a nuclear device is going to go off somewhere? I don't think so. Is it possible? Certainly. If that group or whoever has possession of the ore is in cahoots with a country that does have the machinery with which to refine, such as Iran or North Korea or the US, whoever, then yes. But other than that, in its current form, it cannot be used for a thermonuclear device in any way, shape, or form. But it can be used either A, as a contaminant via an improvised device, or B, in negligence, it could be put near other things and then contaminate those things. So that to me is much more concerning. So what does that mean for us, right? Because we can't go to Libya and fix this. Well, what you can do, it makes you think. So we've had the Ohio incident with the chemical spill. You have this missing uranium. All of these incidents where you're missing chemicals, you're missing radiologicals, you're missing biologicals like the Rona, these are great, I guess you could call them tabletop war game opportunities for you to look at your situation, look at your preps and say, okay, what would I do? For example, if there was a dirty device detonated near me, I would, one, radioactive exposure is a function of time, distance, and shielding, and distance is the most critical. The further it's squared on the bottom of the equation. I actually did another video on it. I may have to reprise it because it was one of my very earliest videos. However, basically, when you go double the distance, you divide your exposure by 4 to whatever the radiation is. So distance is your best friend when it comes to radiation. The further you are away, the faster your exposure drops. The opposite's true. If you're 10 feet away and you move to 5 feet away, you've halved your distance, but you've quadrupled your exposure. You get what I'm saying? So the faster you move away, the quicker that exposure drops. However, if you do get dirty device contamination on you, the principle is much the same as getting exposed to chemicals or other biologicals, most of them, not all. One, you have to clean yourself. Remove your clothes and spray yourself down with clean water to prevent yourself from inhaling or ingesting any more than you may have already done so. After you've cleaned yourself, those clothes I would not burn, because if you burn them, you might make the radiological airborne. Instead, you may want, it's already airborne because of the explosive. Instead, I would seal it in a garbage bag and remove it as far as possible from everyone else so that no further contamination occurs. But the same thing applies, for instance, the chemical spill in Ohio. If you're in proximity and you've been exposed to some chemical, you need to get distance as quick as you can. If you can't find shelter, find distance, and then clean yourself, remove the clothes that are contaminated, put clean clothes on, and make sure that you have cleaned your eyes, ears, and any other entry points on your body. So the principles are the same. So guys, this is a great opportunity, even though it's halfway across the world, to think about how you would handle that kind of scenario. So if it happens, whether it's deliberate in an act of terror or an accident, or just an industrial thing, you have an idea of what you need to do. And you're not sitting there panicked, watching what's going on, which we often see the deer in the headlight looks in an incident, or people are running, not really knowing why, you will probably be the one who says, oh, I'm going to run, but I'm going to run this way, not that way, and I know why I'm running this way. Or at least in my mind, I know why I'm running that way. You want to be the person that actually has a clue as to what's going on. So this is a great tabletop opportunity, folks. I just wanted to bring it up to you, not to panic you, to make you think, what would I do? Anyway, that's it for this one. It'll be a short video today, as you can tell. God bless, Godspeed. Think about what I said, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Until next time, be safe out there, and try to help each other out if you can. Take care.